This is Your Health, a podcast of the Integrated Health and Social Services University Network for West Central Montreal.
Hello, everyone. My name is Barry Morgan, and welcome to this edition of Your Health. Did you know that since 1946, the first week of February has been designated as White Cane Week in Canada? Very important week, raises public awareness of the challenges facing Canadians living with vision loss. Too many people still consider visual impairment and blindness as insurmountable obstacles to leading a productive life. Well, CEUS West Central Montreal is holding events to highlight White Cane Week and the services offered by the MAB-Mackay Rehabilitation Centre. It's for children and adults with a visual impairment to show the positive impact our services have on the day-to-day lives of the blind and visually impaired. With me is Annie Gouveia, Vision Rehabilitation Specialist here at the MAB-Mackay Rehabilitation Centre. Annie, first of all, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Same to you.
Thank you very much. Let's start off with a pretty straightforward question. What is White Cane Week?
So the purpose of White Cane Week is really to sensitize the community to the reality of people living with a visual impairment. It's an opportunity to educate the community about how a person with a visual impairment can lead an autonomous life, but might use different strategies than a person who has or a sighted person.
Sure. I mean, it all depends. Each case is very individualized, and you have special services for all the people that come here. Can you talk about the importance of this week?
So it's important in more than one way. It's important to share this week with the community because the obstacles that our clients face are not necessarily always in line with their abilities or disabilities, but rather the obstacles that they'll face in the city or accessing information. So we refer to this as universal accessibility. So universal accessibility is really having access to places, to information that is made accessible and designed in an accessible way for everyone. So whether you have a disability or not. And it's important as a community that we strive and equip ourselves with the tools and the strategies that we need to build accessible platforms.
So how does this tie in to services at MAB-Mackay, which are focused on things like social integration, maximizing capabilities, things like that?
Right. So it can be a challenge, even as a rehabilitation center, to make sure that everything we put out there is accessible. But of course, the more we do it, the more it becomes automatic. And here at the MAB-Mackay, we support our clients with the tools and the strategies they need to do their own cooking, access print, access electronic information, be independent in their travels, be autonomous at work, at school. So in order for that to work, we also need them to have access to accessible environments and accessible information.
That certainly makes sense. How did White Cane Week actually get its start?
So like you said, the first White Cane Week in Canada was in 1946. The white cane kind of became internationally recognized after the First World War, and it kind of became the symbol for people with visual impairments. But it's important to recognize that not everyone who has a visual impairment it's not everyone who has a visual impairment who uses a white cane or a guide dog. Some people do not use any visual or mobility aids. So for example, if a person has a peripheral field loss, visual field loss, they might be using a white cane, but for a person who has more of a central field loss, they might not need a cane to travel independently.
Central field loss? What is that?
So the eye is made up of well, it has a retina in the back of the eye. And you have the macula, which is the center of the retina and allows for detailed vision. So people, for example, who have macular degeneration will have a vision loss in the macula area, and they will have more difficulty with things such as recognizing faces or reading, but not necessarily with things such as mobility.
I see. Annie, why do you think some people believe that, visual impairment, blindness, and the attitudes of some people at least, that they are not just obstacles, but even insurmountable obstacles? Why do you think that still is?
In terms of
preventing people from living a full life, just because some people might think, well, if this person can't see very well or is blind, well, they can't live a full and more rewarding life.
Right. So I think, first of all, it's a question of people not knowing much about vision loss. So, for example, some people might just assume that either you see or you don't see. And it's a big reason why a lot of our clients kind of hesitate before they start using the white cane, because they're afraid of being associated with the stereotypes of that come or may come with having a visual impairment.
Right.
But in terms of, like I said, we really support our clients in with the tools and the strategies that they need to accomplish everything that a sighted person would be able to accomplish. And so once people are more educated about what a person with a visual impairment can do, then it really changes their perception.
Can you give me an example, perhaps, of somebody who has achieved tremendous success despite having a vision impairment issue?
Right. So I have a colleague who's a vision rehabilitation specialist like me, and he specializes in Braille and access to electronic information. He was originally a client here.
Oh, he was actually a client at MAB-Mackay.
Yes. And he decided to redirect his line of work to work in rehabilitation. And now he's been working with us for a few years. He's a dad of a young boy, and he's autonomous in every way possible.
And a postgraduate degree, not too bad.
Yes.
That's very impressive for anybody. Can you give us some examples, generally speaking, of some of the services offered here at MAB-Mackay, Annie, as well as what some of your responsibilities are as a vision rehabilitation specialist?
So for the whole lifespan, we have services for vision impairments and for hearing impairments. In terms of children, we have pediatric programs for motor disabilities, communication disabilities, and language disabilities. In terms of what I do, my title is Vision Rehabilitation Specialist. So I work more specifically with adults. I work with them in terms of looking at strategies for accessing print, cooking, anything that they would need to do on a daily basis, and looking at strategies, for example, if they're having difficulty in school or at work.
So you can help in those kinds of fields. And it is children and adults, you did mention, I think, a couple of times.
Yes.
So some of the kids are as young as...
1.
As young as 1, yeah. So you can start treating them. I know not you specifically, because you deal mostly with adults, correct? Right. How rewarding is your work?
It's very rewarding. It's a challenge sometimes to find creative ways of finding different ways of achieving a task or a goal. But it's definitely rewarding when we see that our clients gain confidence in their own skills, and especially when they get to a point where they can fully participate in society.
Annie, thank you very much for your time and your hard work. Really appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
That's Annie Gouveia, Vision Rehabilitation Specialist here at the MAB-Mackay Rehabilitation Centre, 7000 Sherbrooke Street West in Montreal, by the way. And their website, mabmackay.ca. That's MAB-MACKAY.ca. My name is Barry Morgan. Thank you for listening to Your Health.
You've been listening to Your Health, a podcast of the Integrated Health and Social Services University Network for West Central Montreal.